Hey, hello everybody. It's Nia. Hi. It is time for Talkback Tuesday, and today we're talking about genre. So I'm going to pause for a little while just to see if we have some people jumping on before I get started and jump right into what we're going to talk about. And I want you guys to give me feedback, ask questions. This is a live video meant for us to interact and learn from each other, and not just for me to run my mouth off. So I'm going to send a few invites out to some of the people who are in the group, just to make sure that everybody knows that I'm live. And while you are joining, I am going to refresh you guys with what's going on, still in pre-pro on this short. And I've decided that because I've just taken on a client to produce a comedy special, a live comedy special, I've decided to push back the short film. And I think I will be shooting in July because the comedy special is scheduled for late June. So maybe late July I'll be shooting the short. I'm really excited about this because I've never produced a live comedy special before, and my client is someone whom I respect. He is a stand-up comedian who's actually a contemporary of, well, I should say Dick Gregory was his mentor, so he's pretty old school, but also he told me Dave Chappelle came up under him, so that was really impressive. And I respect this man. He's such a great person and has a big heart, and he's funny. He really is funny. And so, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm in pre-pro on that, and it's a live comedy special to be shot in Northern California in late June. So, but anyways, jumping right into, hey, one person jumped on. Welcome. And if you're watching this on the replay, always feel free to leave comments or questions because I always come back and check. But today I'm going to talk to you about genre. And I have two special gifts for you once I'm done at the end. And let's just start off by defining genre, because from what I understand, and I'm going to say I'm a pretty old school kind of writer, genre usually refers to the category under which your story falls under. So like, for example, if you're writing a fairy tale, that's a fantasy genre. But nowadays, the last time I checked, now when people say genre, they mean horror or thriller. But I like to still like stick to the first definition of what genre is. And then I'm going to break down a few in a very simple way, because save the cat. Okay. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Not too long ago, I met a very handsome and smart gentleman by the name of Blake Snyder when I first moved out here. And I used to volunteer at screenwriting conferences. And I got to meet Blake at a screenwriting conference, and we struck up a friendship. And he was telling me about this book he was writing called Save the Cat. And it breaks down all the genres in a very simple, easy to understand way. And I know a lot of screenwriters who've told me that Save the Cat saved their lives, literally when they're writing, helps them to understand their story and helps them break their story. And so I felt like to honor Blake, who passed away, to honor his smarts and his awesome formula for genre, we're going to use this little document that I've already uploaded into the group. So if you're a part of the group, there is a place for you to download documents, and I've uploaded this document actually several months ago. So it's here and it's yours. You can download it anytime you want, and it's called Save the Cat Goes to the Movies at a Glance. And so, like I said before, genre typically means the category under which your story, film, TV, novel, whatever story that you're creating, which category it falls under. And Blake had these cool categories that were so fun. that it made it easy for you to understand what your genre is. And there are elements, there are specifically 3 elements that must be present in your particular genre to give it the stability that it needs while you're building your story. And so I'm going to go through a few of them and even give you some examples of specific movies. And then I challenge you to figure out which genre you're working on and how Blake's definitions can help you better structure your story, better understand where your story is going, and maybe even fill in some gaps of elements that may be missing, or even show you how you may have some elements that are not necessarily needed, which is kind of what I did with a few of my stories myself. And actually, I'm going to start off by saying everything that I say on these videos is a reminder to me. I'm starting with reminding myself because nobody's perfect. I'm not an expert. I learned, and we're all learning. And so I'm not on here as a talking head trying to enforce everyone to just listen to what I have to say and follow what I'm saying. You can pick and choose, but I like to share knowledge whenever I have it. And so the elements that make your genre film that particular genre are those specific things that separate your story from other stories. And let's start with horror and go from there. So the way Blake defined horror in his book is monster in the house. That's one of the ways that you can describe horror. And there are 3 elements that are needed for a monster in the house story. You need a monster, you need a house, and you need a sin. And that is like the typical breakdown of a horror movie, a simple, straightforward genre movie that could, people in the industry say you could definitely sell that. And it's easy to sell that. That's a horror. Everybody who likes horror will go see that. And then he even breaks it down further to give you 5 other categories of monster in the house stories. For example, there's the pure monster, like the movie Alien. Then there's the domestic monster story. For example, Fatal Attraction, single white female. Then there's also the serial monster, as in serial killer. Scream, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Those are your serial monster in the house movies. There's the supernatural monster, like The Ring, The Exorcist, The Shining. And then the nihilist monster. No, not Nia. Some people say nihilist. I don't know why I say nihilist. Maybe it's because it rhymes with my name, whatever. But nihilist, Nihilist monster, like the movie Saw. Another one would be The Grudge, which was, I think it was Sarah Michelle Gellar was in that. I could be wrong. But those are your monster in the house, and that's what your typical genre movie is nowadays. Now, I have another gift to give you later on at the end of this that has a lot to do with this particular genre of film. But let's keep moving. There's also Golden Fleece as a genre. So we've finished with the monster in the house. And I'm going to say I like that genre myself, although I don't like some of the subcategories because I have nightmares. So I'm more interested in like the supernatural kind of monster in the house story, and I actually wrote one, and I'm still in the rewrite stage with it. But moving on, let's talk about Golden Fleece. So Golden Fleece is your road movie, and you need 3 elements for that. Your Golden Fleece movie has to have the road, the team, and the prize thereafter. And some examples for this genre would be the sports fleece. So that would be like the Bad News Bears, Cool Runnings, even dodgeball. Then you have Buddy Fleece. So the Buddy Fleece is a road movie that includes a buddy element like planes, trains, and automobiles. That's pretty old school. Thelma and Louise is a very popular one that falls under Buddy Fleece. Like I said, these are subheadings. This is what your typical road movie would be, but there's also the epic fleece. Saving Private Ryan falls under that category. Then you have the caper fleece, which is one of my favorites. Ocean's 11 falls under that. The Usual Suspects, which is one of my favorites, falls under that. And then finally, the Solo Fleece, which is a road movie with just one person. He cites Maria Full of Grace, Capote, Ray, and there's always those three elements: the road, the team, and the prize. And so that's your Golden Fleece category. The out of the bottle category, that genre is a fun one. Usually comedies fall under this, and you need three elements: the wish, the spell, and the lesson. And this also has several subcategories. The out of the bottle genre could be the body switch bottle, Freaky Friday, 13 going on 30, Hot Chicks. Those are comedies that fall under body switch bottle. And not to be confused with the curse bottle, because that's very similar to the body switch bottle. But the curse bottle, the examples would be What Women Want, the one that Mel Gibson was in, which coincidentally they're scheduling a remake of that with Taraji P. Henson, I read on Deadline. And the curse bottle could also include Ella Enchanted, The Devil's Advocate, The Craft. So it's not always a comedy. It could be a little bit of horror in there as well. But that would be your out of the bottle genre: the wish, the spell, and the lesson. Then there's Angel Bottle. Cocoon is famous for that. Mary Poppins, Bruce Almighty, that would be your Angel Bottle. The Thing Bottle, The Nutty Professor is a good example of the Thing Bottle. And Jumanji. Click, the one with Adam Sandler and his remote control, that was The Thing. And one of my favorites, Love Potion Number 9, which was The Thing in that movie, and that starred Sandra Bullock. And then you have your Surreal Bottle as your last subcategory, which includes Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's your Surreal Bottle. Also Groundhog Day, Scrooged. Funny how this category has a lot of Bill Murray in there, but that's your out of the bottle genre. And then moving on to Dude with a Problem. Dude with a Problem, you need an innocent hero, a sudden event, and then there's a life or death battle. These kinds of movies are pretty popular. Oftentimes these are tentpole movies. And I'm going to start with the most popular Dude with a Problem movie, Die Hard, which falls under law enforcement problem. So under Dude with a Problem, you have 5 other subtopics. The law enforcement problem movie is one like Die Hard, The Fugitive, Man on Fire. Those are law enforcement problem. Then there's domestic problem. It's still Dude with a Problem, but it's leaning more toward domestic problem, and Sleeping with the Enemy is an example of that. Also, A Perfect Murder. Enough, that one starred Jennifer Lopez. Very similar to Sleeping with the Enemy, except, you know, she was badass, and she, I remember in that movie she learned kickboxing or something like that. Misery is another one that falls under that. Again, it's not just action. Misery was kind of like horror. So the way that these genres break down gives you a lot more freedom, but it also frees up your story and gives you clarity with what you're working with. Because of the 3 elements that you want to make sure you have in there, it gives you that stability to be able to break your story a lot easier. And if you're like me, sometimes breaking a story takes forever. But let's move on. Then you have epic problem. Something like Deep Impact, Outbreak. Those are epic problems. The nature problem. Open Water, Twister, The Perfect Storm, the one that had Marky Mark in it. I still call him Marky Mark. You can tell what generation I came up in, right? Then lastly, you have your spy problem. 3 Days of the Condor, The Net, which is another Sandra Bullock, The Long Kiss Goodnight, which is one of my favorites with Gina Davis, The Bourne Identity, typical spy problem movie. And that, again, is your dude with a problem. Innocent hero, sudden event, life or death battle. Then there's Rites of Passage, which has 3 elements: the life problem, the wrong way to solve it, and then acceptance. And under that, there are 5 more categories, subcategories. And then I'm not going to keep going because I want you to pull down that document that I uploaded so that you can read it yourself and see all these lists of these type of movies and then compare them to what you're working on. But I'm going to go through each category without the specifics from now on. So there's the Rite of Passage film, life problem, wrong way to solve it, and then acceptance. Then there's the buddy love film, which is very popular with comedy. There's an incomplete hero, a counterpart, and a complication. And one of my favorite of that is the one with Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper. Silver Linings Playbook. That one was pretty good. That's one of my favorites. And that falls under the category buddy love. The next one is Why Done It? There's a detective, a secret, and a dark turn. Now this is where I confess that this is one of the genres that I write the most. This is like my bread and butter. This one and then the next one, institutionalized. Let me go back to Why Done It. To give you an example, Mystic River is one of my favorite Why Done It's. And with a Why Done It, you have the detective, a secret, and then a dark turn. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a dark writer. I write noir. I write stuff like Mystic River. I write stories that not often have a happy ending and more than likely have anti-heroes than they do heroes. And speaking of heroes, let's go to superhero. That's another genre. And in that genre, Blake cites the special power, the nemesis, and the curse. And that's your typical superhero movie, like Black Panther, like Spider-Man, like all those Avenger movies. Special powers, a nemesis, and a curse. Then full triumphant. Full triumphant could be comedy, it could be drama. An example would be Legally Blonde. That one is a very popular one. And just like the 40-Year-Old Virgin, that's another one. In full triumphant, you have a fool, the establishment, and then a transmutation, where the fool is no longer the fool. And finally, my favorite is the institutionalized genre. And in that genre, you have a group, a choice, and a sacrifice. And those 3 are your basic 3 elements that determine that your story is institutionalized story. And for example, Training Day is in that category. Do the Right Thing is in that category. And my latest film, The Trap, is in that category. And it emulates my favorite film of all time, The Godfather, which is the ultimate institutionalized film, because the group was the mafia. The choice was to join it. And the sacrifice was giving up Kate and his chance to have a normal life, Michael Corleone, the anti-hero of that story. And my film, The Trap, that I've been pitching to sell and making its rounds, it emulates The Godfather, because I love that story so much. And instead of the mafia, the institution, my main character is involved in is the drug game in Baltimore. But on the flip side, the other institution that she's fighting to stay a part of is her community and her faith. And so just like Michael wanted a normal life, she just wanted to be stick to her faith and be a part of our community. But as we know with the Godfather, it didn't end well. And there was a sacrifice. And just like I said, that genre includes a group, a choice, and the sacrifice. And so those are the genres that I wanted to talk about. And this document is already uploaded in the group, so please do download it. And if it's not, if you don't see it, text me. You can let me know, and then I'll re-upload it. But I do believe it's still there under Documents on the left side of the group's screen, the group's page. So if you don't see it, message me, leave comments, and if you do see it and it's helpful, message me and let me know. Let me know that it was helpful. And then I want you to tell me which one is your favorite and which one are you writing now. And that leads me to the last thing I wanted to share. I spotted on my Twitter feed from a friend of mine who is the co-founder of Seed and Spark, Emily Best, and I love her name because she is the best. And they're partnering up, Seed and Spark is partnering up with Orchard to give a genre writer $25,000 for their project. So, and in this situation, genre refers to thriller, horror, which could be Monster in the House. And so if you have a film like that and you want $25,000, I'm going to include a link in the comments below, and I invite you to click it. So that concludes today's talk about genre, and I hope that you download this because I honestly believe this is very beneficial for helping people break their story. And as a writer who, I have ADHD, so it's kind of like I get distracted by different ideas. So I like the ability to focus on 3 elements, and that helps me break my story, and it lets me know where I'm going instead of being lost with, oh, do I want to write this or do I want to write it that way? And let me know if it helps you. All right, guys, I'm going to end because I don't see any people asking questions. But I'm going to leave this video up here for you to watch on replay. And again, I love doing these videos because it gives us a sense of community. And listen, if this didn't benefit you because you already knew all this info, pass it on to somebody else who doesn't. I mean, and then again, download the document because you never know. There may be some examples in that document that you never even thought of that's very similar to your own story. So, all right, guys, I'll catch you next week on Talkback Tuesday. In the meantime, if you have some ideas that you want to hear us talk about, leave them in the comments, message me, and let me know. And we'll talk about that next week. Although I always do have a plan, I want to cater to you because you are my community and I'm here for you. So in ending with that, I'll send you love and I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Have a blessed day.